Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Just Enough Heshy show. We're going to have a wonderful show. I have my beautiful co-host, Sawyer back. How are you, Ezra? You see, Ezra, you are looking
Hi, good to be here.
Thank you.
You're looking good, Ezra.
Hi, everybody.
Sawyer, welcome back. You're wonderful. Me and Sawyer have been working hard in the street getting our petitions. She is just
Sure,
great.
I have.
You really have. I've been doing all the work. And, of course, my wonderful friend, Ezra Levy. How are you? You have a wedding tonight, don't you?
I have a
Ezra
wedding
still
tonight.
showed up tonight. What a good man. That's why you're so well dressed.
That's why I'm well dressed.
I know.
Just for you, Heshy.
I know a lot of you might not recognize me now because I lost 26 pounds.
Yay.
I found them.
Okay, but you should say, Sawyer, how handsome you look. You're supposed to
Oh,
say.
so handsome.
How about you?
You have
Ezra?
Linda.
I know.
You
Yeah,
pay her
come
to
on.
tell you
I
that
do
every
pay. I pay
day.
her well for that.
You
I
pay
don't play
through the
that
tea.
You'll pay me enough.
He doesn't pay anything.
We're going to have a good show tonight, guys.
Okay.
We're going to talk to a retired homicide police officer called Ray Schneider. He is really, forget that. I want to read a little bit of his bio quickly before
He's coming in, or
he's going to call into the
He's
show.
gonna call in.
We're going to chat with him. But I just want you to know he was a police union president and PORAC chapter secretary. I don't know what that is. And he is was a powerful Los Angeles cop, and he tells you the way it is. He's like us. He's not scared to tell it to you. He knows about the inside politics. I want to ask him some questions because he dealt with murder and killings, and he was a detective. Maybe he could explain to us why people are just doing what they're doing, because I can't understand some of it. But
It's very simple because there's no consequence.
well, I can't be, because a
There's
detective,
no consequences anymore.
well, it can't be just killing people on the street. And this week, I don't even want to tell you, 29 shootings. If you read on my list, rape,
okay.
murder,
So
somebody
wait.
being pushed in front of the train.
What happens? Do you know how they used to talk about in the 70s and the 80s that crime, like they did like statistical studies, and the crime always goes up in the heat, in bad weather, in bad
That's known.
times.
That's known.
Look who's running, quote unquote, running this country. Look at the prices of gas.
Well, we're going to get to
Nobody
that.
can afford
I know.
anything.
Do you believe gas is going to $10 a gallon? Really?
Not yet.
It's a Metzia Geneva.
All
How many
I can tell
barrels
is
can you buy?
Connecticut
Not one.
lowered it by 25 cents, taking off the gas tax. I know it's not a lot, but still 25 cents a
That's
gallon.
a lot.
It's a
Actually,
lot.
it's-
It's like $2-3. You can get yourself almost another gallon or a gallon.
So I have to
half a gallon.
So I have to drive to Connecticut to save a
I
couple.
know. I know, it's crazy. Anyways, we're
I
going
used to
start
go to
out.
Jersey for that. I used to go to Jersey for that. But
I know. Remember, we used to always I never used to fill up on my way back. I waited till the end to fill up
Like
in Jersey.
everybody else.
I know. Anyways, we're going to talk the show, but first we're going to start our show. Sawyer, who's paying for our show to start the show tonight?
Plaza Auto Leasing. They are not only a leasing company, but also a dealership. You get the best of both worlds, the flexibility to lease or buy any vehicle, make or model, combined with quick service, huge inventory, and easy approvals. There is no finance manager to meet with, just a friendly pal sales representative that can handle most of the transaction from start to finish without you even having to step foot in their office. All you have to do is place your order, and they will even deliver your car right to your door. What are you waiting for? Become a pal and call Plaza Auto Leasing today. You can reach Plaza Auto Leasing at 718-975-9000. What's that number, Heshy?
718-975-9000.
You can also check out their website at www.plazaautoleasing.com, located at 2750 Nostrand Avenue on corner of Nostrand Avenue and Avenue N. Call 718-975-9000 and become a pal today. And don't forget to tell them Uncle Heshy sent you.
I want you to know, me and Sawyer, I'm running for state senator, everybody, and Sawyer's running for district leader, and I'm running for district leader. Now, I'm going to ask for a debate. I know he won't show up for debate, but he's never to be found. But, they give out food.
Who are we attacking now?
Simcha Felder.
Who are we attacking today?
No, but I'm telling you, Simcha is going to come out on one of the days that we distribute food for the poor. He's going to show up his one day every year to make believe he's doing good, and I'm going to stand there and embarrass him on video. Simcha.
Okay. Why? Why embarrass
Why?
him?
Because he won't debate me.
You don't
I make you bet he won't debate.
You don't have to embarrass him.
Really, they made 2 articles about me this week, or 3 articles that Heshy, one of them, I forgot what it was. Heshy's here to run again, and somebody said he has typos, and one guy says he has no support of the community. Wherever I go, people ask me, this week and last week, and Ezra, I called you, there was a young family that they called ACS on. They were just attacking them.
Has she shut that
And
down?
I shut that down, and I had a wonderful doctor.
If you have an issue with an ACS case, call
no,
Heshy
I'm
Tischler.
not an expert, but
And he's going to refer you to the right people.
Right.
We're putting together a team.
I went to school. I went to the school to talk to him. I said, why'd you call? There was nothing happened. Oh, we have to call. I said, first find out the story. Then a second family. And remember when ACS comes in, they rip apart these kids. They strip them naked. They torture them. They scare them. And some of these kids, 17, 18, 13, 8.
Excuse me, they terrorize the whole
They
family.
terrorize
Terrorize
whole
the family
family.
for 2 months.
And I called.
It's not 2 months. It's
starts
long.
for
It can
even
end up.
though
It
if
can
you-
end up for years too. They
But I
terrorize
wanna
and they
tell
make
you-
up things and
but
they
I
lie.
want to tell you, one of the teachers kidnapped this girl for a few hours.
She should have been arrested.
And I
In my
called-
personal opinion, if you take a child, if you remove a child, somebody else's child from a home, the child has no marks on them, no nothing on
Right.
them.
And
The
it-
child is going to
but I
that school
wanna
for
tell
years.
you,
I'm
this-
sorry, that is kidnapping.
But this
In the
teacher-
book,
right.
if you go and you look under the,
It's actually- it's-
under section what? Come on, go tell it to us, Ezra.
Interference. It's custodial interference. It's
No,
not
no.
so-
If you remove the child
It's
physically
custodial
and you
interference.
withhold them from the parents,
It's
that's
custo-
kidnapping.
No,
But
it's
I
custodial
want to go a
interference.
step further. She bought the kid a phone.
Oh,
She-
so the school had a policy that the child cannot have, this is a 14-year-old child, she cannot have a cell phone.
16.
So 16-year-old child. So she's in high school. She cannot have a cell phone. So the parent, one of the parents took away the cell phone. The mom took away the cell phone. And somehow the child ended up, the friend got her another cell phone. But the school has a policy. You cannot
Right.
have a cell phone.
Right.
Third cell phone pops up, okay? The second cell phone, a friend got her. The third cell phone, we're not even sure where the cell phone popped up from. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
No, the teacher. The teacher gave
Oh,
it.
the teacher gave her, the
Yeah.
school.
Right.
You ever hear such hypocrisy?
A smartphone,
Such
right.
contradiction?
Right.
A smartphone from a yeshiva school that said you cannot
But
have
my
it.
problem was, Sawyer, what you're going.
And then the social worker from the school went and got her a charger, right? And the mom snatched away the cell phone because the mom wants to make sure, because if you're damned if you do and damned if
Yeah,
you
but you're
don't.
going too long into the story. My
Yeah.
point is that if they threw the kid out of school, we couldn't get her into another school, especially a religious school. And remember, Jewish schools of girls, and you'll know that because of your daughter, is going to cost you a fortune, and you can't change in midterm. It's going to kill you. But again, it's very bad in this Jewish community.
It's bad in all communities.
And I've
ACS is out of control.
And I've been helping these kids get into school, and it's just so hard. So I want you to know something. You have to help your fellow man. But we're gonna do a couple of shout outs because I want to start the show. First of all, my shout out to Ellie. How are you? And
Sergeant
Peters,
Peters, Dov and Shani Hikin,
and my granddaughter Mira
Mira
Nava,
Nava, my beautiful Shoshana,
and my beautiful other granddaughter Layla.
our
Tamar.
wonderful Lila Tamar,
Right.
Inspector Richie Taylor. Don't
By the
forget
way,
him.
I called Ezra, who called Richie, who everybody advised me to arrest this teacher who kidnapped. And then Ezra said, "Back off, Heshy. If you can make a deal and calm everything down, Ezra." But Ezra did.
But you want to know
I
something?
did
She
call
should.
you,
I'll
Ezra.
tell you.
You did. You
I'll
did.
tell you something. She should have been arrested. You
It
want to know
doesn't help
why?
anything.
No, it does. Actually, it
Sawyer,
does.
Sawyer,
It's the
he-
same way with criminals.
Let Ezra say.
Sawyer.
I
No,
wanna
let me
hear
say
Ezra
what.
know.
He's saying no.
No, right.
Yeah,
so I wanna
so-
And
hear
I want
Ezra.
to say why. Go ahead.
I'll let you speak because they're going to cut me off anyway. So go
Oh,
ahead.
you want to know what I'm going to say first? So you
Go
know what
ahead.
to argue. Okay. The point is, just like crime, if you do not stop it, if you do not nip it in the bud, you do not deter it, it repeats itself.
Okay,
And you
so-
have too many people inside positions like a teacher or a school psychologist or somebody that calls Administration for Children's Services, makes up false fabricated things. And you want to know something? When they do something wrong, they're jumping down the parents' back. But when they do something wrong or they violate a parent's right, they should be called on
okay,
it.
so here's
You
the
don't mess with the
Okay,
family.
Sawyer, we got
You
you.
don't
heard-
mess with the family.
We got
You don't
you,
break up
Sawyer.
a family.
We got
Sawyer,
you.
I got you. The
Yeah.
reason I advise Heshy the way I did is very simple. It's called, you have to have leverage on them. You could always call the authorities. It's not going to save the kid from having to go. If ACS is
Well,
going to
they call the authorities on you
Sawyer,
and they don't have
Sawyer,
leverage. Oh, they
Sawyer,
do. Your child.
You want your kid. If you want that child to stay in the school, the last thing you should do is antagonize them by arresting one of their teachers, because they're gonna get defensive and they're just gonna say, you know what, ACES is already involved. We do what we have to do, and we kick the child out and wipe our hands clean. It's basically.
the point
you have
is,
to know what
is
your
right.
You have to know you.
In this case, it wasn't
when you go
that
into any
bad.
negotiating situation, you have to know what you want, what you're.
So,
what you're
so
talking
during
about.
during the Holocaust, excuse me.
Oh, God.
Don't compare the two, please.
Don't
compare the two. Don't compare.
Hold on.
No
Hold
Holocaust
on.
comparisons,
Excuse
please.
me.
No Holocaust comparisons.
But I'm just
No,
saying.
no.
I'm just saying. So the people that were negotiating
Here we go again.
to save a few lives.
Here we go again.
Right?
Yeah.
To save a few lives, but they knew, the
Yes.
rabbis from the community leaders that were sitting down by the table and dealing with these whatever
Yes.
you want to call them. They were negotiating for a few lives to be saved when they really should have been fighting back. You should fight back. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you're wrong, by the way.
When somebody's trying to
we
steal
have-
your
we have-
child,
Okay.
you
we
fight
want
back.
to start the show.
You have to be smart about
Right.
it.
And Ezra knew that the situation wasn't as he said. If it was even worse, yes, Heshy, I would make you call, but I want you to go. And even Richie said he would be ready to arrest him, but Heshy, make a deal because it's not as bad because the girl did follow the lady home. She should have been smarter.
And you also have to understand, 16-year-olds are going to, 16-year-olds, if they're already pissed off at their parents, excuse my language, if they're upset with their parents, they're going to lie more.
You're forgetting about part of the lie. You're forgetting about part of the lie from the story that you told me. You told me ACS showed up.
Yeah.
You told me that the ACS worker wanted to see their refrigerator, and you looked in their refrigerator and it was packed with food. And you told me that the social worker was from the school, the quote unquote social worker, or school psychologist, whatever,
Teacher.
was saying that there was no food in their house.
Right.
That she lied.
She did.
And let me tell you something. If they didn't have you, that child. Excuse me, they were playing Russian roulette with that family, and they could have torn that family apart. And let me tell you something, once a child is removed, Ashi, it would be much harder for you to fix it.
I know.
And don't tell me that's not true.
Anyways, I want to start my quote of the day and joke so we have a guest on the phone and we want to get him on the line. So here we go. You see, even the producer came out to calm down Sawyer. Wow. Quote, liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it. Okay? Because responsibility, not your ability, like I keep saying, your responsibility. Don't be scared of being responsible for your liberty, because if you are, you're going to dread it, and you have to understand that liberty is most important for everybody. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. And I want this government to fear me. And me and Sawyer, we're going to get into office. We're not going to let crazy judges come in. You're going to see me and Sawyer scream when we become district leaders. And yes, I want to be state senator.
Sawyer scream?
I
Sawyer
thought
scream. Heaven
men
forbid.
fear liberty because her first name is Lady. Lady Liberty.
Nice
Okay.
try.
Anyways, can I
Nice try. Come on, we have to. His jokes are corny
I know.
enough. Then
No,
we have
no,
yours.
not this week. This joke this week, Sawyer's going to like this joke. It's a great joke. I'm telling you, it's one of my best. When Linda, my wife, was pregnant, are you ready? With our second child, not the first one, because the first one was the live at home. With our second child, Moishi, we called the doctor. And the doctor said, do you want an epidural? And Linda said, I'm certain I want an epidural for pain management during childbirth. So the doctor asked her on the phone when we were leaving to the hospital, which stage of the labor do you want the epidural? Linda said to him, just meet us in the parking lot. That was a good joke. She wanted it right away. She wasn't good. No good? Hello?
Hello.
Ezra?
As I said,
where's the
you were
punchline?
good for 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
You had to push
I
it.
thought that was
You had to push it.
I thought it was funny. She told the doctor on the phone as I pulled into
We
the
got it,
parking
Heshy.
lot.
We got it. Okay.
I think you're messing up the punchline somewhere.
Okay, I don't know, but I thought it was a good joke. We're going to put our guest on the show tonight, put him on the phone. His name is Ray Schneider. We can't find him, producer. Please get him on the phone for us. Ray Schneider is a retired police officer. Oh, he's on the phone. He's on the air with us. Ray, are you on the air with us?
I am here, sir. Good to be with you.
I know you're a retired police officer. I have one question to ask before we start the show. Did you like my joke?
I liked your joke, and I did get it.
Good. I'm firing my two co-hosts, and I'm taking you on.
I guess you have to live in Los Angeles to appreciate your jokes.
It's okay. I know LA cops are cool. Ray, I want to ask you a question, and we're going to start serious. I love my police officers. I respect you, and every once in a while, we find somebody that's lost it, so we can't blame everything. And I know that you're the kind of guy that doesn't stand by. I know the big blue wall, but you don't apply politics to when it comes to work. You know how to deal with it. But my question to you, as a homicide detective, as a police officer, I mean, You all those years of 27 years, by the way, guys, this is not a joke. Ray is 27 years. You've seen so many terrible things. Can you explain to me anything in the mind of why people would kill somebody else? I mean, and how did you deal with this? I mean, when you went home at night, did you just not sit on the couch and start crying?
Well, it's one of those things that sometimes it's an acquired skill. Now, some people automatically have the ability to take some of the horrific things that they see in life and compartmentalize them. I didn't have that innately. Some people do. It was an acquired skill for me, and it really came down to the fact that I had to come to the conclusion, as all officers do ultimately, that when you come home to your family, it is simply an unreasonable expectation for them to understand what it is you've been going through, because you can explain it all day long and they're not going to appreciate it. And not because they don't care or are not intelligent or any of that, but unless you experience it, you simply don't know. Now, my dad was a retired police captain. He worked in law enforcement from 1956 to 1984. And so I grew up in it. I also had an uncle that was the chief of police. And so you would think that growing up in that family would have given me a leg up in law enforcement and knowing what to expect. And quite honestly, I may as well have been the son of an arc welder, is to that giving me any advantage whatsoever. Until you actually do the job, you just don't know. And so I had to remember that, sometimes you just need to suffer in silence and just take it. Take
Wow.
what you've seen. And like an actor, when you go home and you walk through that door and greet your family, you got to put on your game face.
Wow.
You cannot bring home the horrors, and because all it's going to do is confuse them, and it's really not fair.
And now you've sat face to face with evil people who've done terrible things to other human beings. How did you face them? What did you? I mean, you must know some. I mean, you're a detective, so you must understand some of their psyche or what they're thinking. I mean, not everybody was crazy or all murderers crazy. I mean, they know they're not getting away with it most of the time. Why would they do it? I mean, why would you take it? I know that I lose one friend or somebody to death, or to lose 29 shootings just in New York City alone this weekend. We're up 383% in crime. So I don't even want to go across the country on the murders and the deaths and the rapes. I mean, are we? So it looks like that the police can't control crime ever.
Can I just interject before
yeah.
before Ray answers? I mean, I'm a career defense attorney, and I'm sure Ray and I we can have a lot of conversations, like friendly conversations. Even though I'm usually the one cross-examining him. But one thing I could tell you about criminals: they never think they're going to get caught, and when they get caught, they never think there's a consequence. So for you to think that I know I'm going to get caught, that's not part of.
A lot of times,
that's really not part of their thinking.
No, but
Yeah,
I'm
a lot
not
of times-
asking that, Ray. I'm asking, I understand crime, but murder, taking somebody's life, Ray. I mean,
It's a solution to a problem.
Is that true, Ray? Is that there? That's the answer? Solution, kill somebody, it's over?
No, what's taking place is people are acting on their emotions, and that's the tricky thing about emotions. Is, for instance, if you go back to biblical times, back to Cain and Abel, if you look at Moses, if you look at Jesus, both of them had emotions, but their emotions never had them. And the trouble is that we in modern society now, with our emotions, when you make decisions based on your emotions, you do so to protect your feelings and not your future. And that is what is happening. You hear this term in the gang culture, or even just culture in general, that somebody dissed me, meaning they disrespected you. Well, that's not really the correct term. If they were being honest, they would say, well, you didn't diss me. Actually, you hurt me. You hurt my feelings. What they're reacting to is an emotional, visceral reaction to something that has taken place. And in this gang culture, Whereas what? Somebody dissed you, you're just going to stand there, you're going to take it. And so immediately, in order to save face, they have all this emotion, all this anger built up in them. And it so overwhelms them that they don't think at all of the consequences until after the fact.
Well, I get angry a lot, and I don't want to kill anybody. Ray, you are a police officer, and you did sit there on the stand. And Ezra sits here as a defense lawyer. Did you hate the defense lawyers? I mean, they had a job to do, but sometimes they went overboard and they made you look bad when you knew you were true and right. Do you hate the defense lawyers? I mean, what's your opinion?
Well, no, quite honestly, I was quite surprised, especially in the public defender's office, especially in homicide. I would hope that I would get a defense attorney's best game, because nothing worse than losing a case on appeal because of defense attorney malpractice.
Ineffective assistance of counsel.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I was amazed. Because when you work as a detective, when you're not in trial, you're constantly in the back hallways. So you're seeing the judges, you're talking to the deputy district attorneys, you're seeing their interaction with the public defenders and all this. And I was actually surprised by the antiquated defense that most suspects get. And their own defense attorneys will sell their clients out for future favor in other cases. I've been in the hallway when a deputy district attorney and a defense attorney were arguing about the sentencing guy, particular case. And then, so they're saying, well, give me 6 months, 180 days time served. And he's like, okay, well, what are you going to give me on this other case?
I've heard that.
Well, and it's all illegal as hell, but it's what happens, I'm telling you, because sometimes
can I just ask,
familiar face as a detective back there, they forget who they're...
Right, can I ask you where you were, where were you? You were in Los Angeles County, or...
I started originally in Los Angeles County, in the city of San Gabriel, California, which is just outside of Los Angeles. I was there for 8 years and then transferred to the Fontana Police Department, which is in San Bernardino County, in Southern California.
So that's a little smaller county, as everybody knows, right? San Bernardino is a lot smaller than, say, Los Angeles County, correct?
Well, San Bernardino County, geographically, it's the largest county in the continental United
States.
Population is a lot less,
right?
Only because it's not as developed as Los Angeles. But the two counties border one another, and county has roughly about 3 million.
Right. So I think I just want to say something, because I'm a former public defender, and I practice in Kings County, Brooklyn, which is the most populated county in the city of New York, which is the most populous city. Lawyers and judges we do talk to each other. We do plea negotiations. At least I will tell you I want to be clear, because there is a misconception. At least when I was practicing in New York as a public defender, I've never seen one of my colleagues sell out one client for another. The difference is, and I've coached, and when I was in the public defender's office, I give a lot of lectures. You have to preserve you have to preserve your own integrity, which means you can't be going going crazy over every client and expecting anybody to listen to you when you get the client who really needs the exception to the rule type of justice. So I just want to be clear about that.
But Ray, I mean,
I understand that, and I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush here.
But it doesn't. I'm not saying I'm not saying it doesn't happen in small counties throughout the country. And you're right. There are a lot of antiquated public defenders' offices, and most of them are very underfunded, and that has a lot to do with the lack of I'll tell you, these days I would not let a public defender handle any case, even in Kings County, because the training sucks.
Ray, I want to ask you two questions. Question one is, I know I'm not going to embarrass you. I know you're a real guy. You're a man, but don't tell me that every morning you woke up and you weren't scared that something was going to happen to you. You were going to get shot. I mean, were you worried, or you just went eyes closed and said, I have to defend the people, and no matter what happens to me happens? I mean, you must have had you worked over there in some bad neighborhoods, gang members, that they were going to come get you. You know that you had to watch your back. I mean, you weren't frightened at all that, hey, today's my last day?
No, and I'll tell you a secret about when it comes to bravery and in law enforcement. This applies to firefighters as well. And you're not going to hear people talking about this. And, you know, I'll give you the unfiltered inside look into law enforcement because I'm not afraid to either make angry the administrators or even my, former colleagues. But the bravery that we have is largely innate. For instance, when officers are summoned to a call, tone goes off, go to a shots fired call, what have you, or even what happened on 9/11. We rush there because that's who we are. That is who we are built on the inside. So sure, we're running into buildings when other people are running away from them. But that's not because we have some courage. In fact, when I was a supervisor, and when I was a new officer, the problem you have is you had, officers trying to get to a scene too fast, driving too fast, violating the Code 3 policy, and you got to tell them, hey, you got to put on the brakes because you're of no use to anybody if you don't get there.
Right.
But that is innate in us, and a lot of people, they don't have that. Natural for them to run away from that type of thing, and it's natural for us to run in. And if you've ever seen an awards banquet for law enforcement or firefighters, and they're given an award for bravery above and beyond the call of duty, you always notice they've got kind of this uneasy look on their face because they're trying to be humble by saying, well, look, I was just doing my job and, I don't feel like a hero. They're actually being honest.
I find that to be very true, by the way.
For instance,
that's very true.
Yeah, when I got one award, in fact, I was Employee of the Year in Fontana and won. And it wasn't for any bravery. It was something that I had a slew of very, we had worked some 23, 24 homicides in a row. And I think we had a 96% case clearance rate on it. And I was working with a bunch of great people, a bunch of great ID techs, and we just did real well. We were very fortunate on quite a few of these.
Now,
but I busted my rump on these cases, so when I got that, I was kind of like, yeah, this is nice because I did work hard on these.
now
But
you have to follow.
we have this innate bravery, so no, we're not thinking of death. Death is to us, but we're not thinking about it.
You just mentioned something. I guess it's a good segue. You just mentioned, being recognized for work above the call of duty. And let's be honest. I think every police officer throughout the country is a hero. I mean, you put your life at risk. You put your family, second when you go to work for everybody else's family. And I mean, when I was growing up, and even my kids, you see a police officer, you think of them as a hero. Unfortunately, today's society, that's the flip side. The police departments looked down upon. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're on the East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Ray?
How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Seeing defunding police movements, basically BLM taking over, painting every cop with the same brush for one or two bad apples.
Yeah, well, it's the lunatic fringe. I remember when. Of course, you guys are probably familiar with Don Imus.
Yes.
Who was in radio for years. And he told a story one time about how years ago, and, he grew out, he was actually born and raised in Rivers, California, which is just a few miles from me, where I am right now. And I think near Oakland and Sacramento. And, there were so different radio stations and so many different TV stations. And they were all independently owned. And if you got fired by one, you just go get a job in another one. And then corporations started buying up all these TV stations, all these different radio stations, and then Clear Channel. And Clear Channel owns a third of the market. And then the company owns this much. So that's why when you change the channel and go from one news outlet to the next, they all have the same talking points because they all in the same marching orders as far as to what they're supposed to say and how they're supposed to say. So we can't compete. It's like the old, like the New York Times or the LA Times. you don't go to war with somebody that buys ink by the barrel, because they're just gonna beat you up.
We're gonna have to do a commercial right now. I'm gonna stop you for a second, but we're gonna get back to you. Sawyer is gonna tell us all about who our next
Green Line Building Solutions, Preservation, Development, Fire Department, Criminal Court, Department of Finance, Environmental Control Board settlements, building consulting, violation removal, construction management, owner compliance, contracting, licensed Department of Building expediters, designs, and so much more. Professionals for all your building solutions. Located at 202 Forster Avenue, you can reach Greenline Building Solutions at 718-871-0382. That's 718-871-0382.
And if you have any problems besides your legal problems, we're at Greenline Building Solutions, that we help you with your building department and your fire department, and we're trying to fight all the red tape. Then you can then call my boy Ezra Levy, who's a criminal lawyer. You don't have his commercial ready for him, Ezra. What's your phone number?
917-755-1187. 917-755-1187. You can WhatsApp me, text me, call me. You could email me at EzraLevyLawFirm@gmail.com.
That's EZRA.
Anytime you get arrested,
It's also-
you can reach Ezra
I do
at
family courts-
917-755-1187.
I also do family court representation, and hopefully you guys don't need me, but I am here when you do.
And trust me, Ezra was very advising, very showing me how the family court. But Ezra, what is your phone number again? Because I just forgot it.
917-755-1187. Heshy has me on speed dial.
I
That's
know,
why
I did
forgot
not
my
forget.
number.
I don't have him on speed dial. I actually called the boy 1:30 in the morning. I know his
Ezra,
wife wants to.
you do ACS cases too?
If necessary,
Family?
yes,
Yeah? So
yes.
that's great.
Very good. Wonderful. Ezra.
Heshy's going to refer you cases.
But now that we're doing a bunch of, I just want you to know, Ezra, we're going to get back to Ray. I'm sorry I had to interrupt you, because I have to advertise for my boy here, who's a wonderful lawyer, a good man, and he does help people. Ray, being a police officer, we know there's the myth, or not the myth, the big blue. What is it? The big blue.
The big blue wall.
Big blue wall. Is that true? Is there a big blue wall? Do we protect our fellow police officers even if they do something wrong?
Well, this is what's interesting. Public persona that they have, and in the media perpetuates this, is that we call ourselves the thin blue line, that we all get along, we all know each other, we'll all cover up for each other and do this. I can tell you, law enforcement agencies are extremely cliquish. They break off into little groups. You have the SWAT guys who think they're the elitist of the entire department. You have the narcotic guys. You have, it can be broken down by ideology. It can be broken up by religion, but it is very cliquish. And the thing is about promotions, for instance. People think that if you do a job on the department or you break some major case, that this is going to open a door of promotion for you. I can tell you that it is absolutely false. Nobody is promoted by merit.
Wow.
And the thing is that chiefs of police are notorious, absolutely notorious, for promote anybody that's smarter than they are.
Wow.
And that's why you find some of the biggest knuckleheads in police administrations, because I know sometime you've met or seen people on the news of high-ranking positions, lieutenant commander, deputy chief, whatever, and thought to yourself, person ever get promoted?
Well,
and of course, we're all.
Well, we have a knucklehead who used to be, I guess, a police captain, and now he's a mayor of New York City.
Yeah, I know.
I
want to ask you. I want to ask you a question. You've been a Los Angeles police officer. You've seen what goes on in this country. I'm sure you've been looking at New York City. What do you consider about? What do you think about our police force? What do you think? Do you think our guys are good? Are they nuts? I mean, a lot of our commissioners were just lost, really, so many times, and they, like you said, they were just out to get themselves to be the smarter one. When most of them that I spoken to, sometimes they didn't even have brains, like the last guy, Commissioner Shea. I was so disappointed with him. But what do you think about us?
Yeah, well, if you look at New York. PD. I'll give you a comparison here. I believe, and of course, those probably these accurate numbers right now for NYPD, but at least on paper, NYPD had 36,000 sworn officers.
Yeah,
and that's from the lowest officer up to commissioner. LAPD has never had more than 10,000.
Right.
wow.
Which explains a lot of the reasons that LAPD has had the problem that it has. Of course, it polices 4 million people and 365 square miles, which is another challenge. Because nowhere, I think, in almost in the free world, for instance, would you have like the island of Manhattan, which I think is about 26 square miles, and how many millions of people do you have in that small area?
Right.
Now, I worked in Fontana with 55 square miles.
Right.
Yet it was only 210,000 people.
Well, we have somebody joining our show now. Lenny, he's a cop. He's also no, he's not. Who's joining the show?
Not
sorry,
yet.
we're gonna
Okay.
wait. Not yet.
So-
I wanted Lenny on the show. He was
Right,
one
can I ask
of
you
my
one-
guys. Go ahead.
I guess
ask
if I could
Ray.
ask you one question. I know New York County, Manhattan, since you mentioned, and also Los Angeles, with your DAs there. There's a new. It's unheard of. I mean, as a defense attorney, it's a defense attorney's dream for your client because your client loves you. But we have prosecutors who are categorically refusing to prosecute cases. As a police officer, I mean, I know you retired, but I'm sure you still have friends. Still have colleagues you communicate with. What does that do for police morale, knowing that even if you make the arrest, you do your job, you make the arrest, and it's it's a good arrest. There's really no question about it. But you're gonna have a DA. You're gonna go up and your DA's office is gonna tell you we're not prosecuting, no matter what it is.
Right. So what's happening is police administrators from Los Angeles to New York are just doing your job, meaning its office isn't going to prosecute. Do not base what you do as a law enforcement officer on the street on the anticipatory reaction of the DA's office once they get that case. If you were making arrests for this particular crime 10 years ago, then you do it today too. We're going to chase this guy down and go after him and arrest him for, whether it was petty theft, under a certain amount of money or what have you. Still do that. But what administrators are doing is they're having their officers stand down.
Right.
Say, well, they're not going to prosecute it anyway, so don't even bother arresting them. No, put it on them. Make them reject the case. Don't be with an antiquated or corrupt district attorney's office by you not doing your job. We took a solemn oath, put our hand up in the air and swore before God to uphold the Constitution. And that does not mean kowtowing to district attorneys who haven't got the guts to do their job and go after the people who need to be arrested.
Now, Ray,
That's a very refreshing comment. But you just said I'm sorry, Heshy. You said the police administrators and the higher ups are preaching the opposite. Is that what you're saying?
Right. They're looking at they're just basically working in tandem with the city council, because this is what's kind of strange, because in California it's a little bit different. In New York, it appeared that the mayor actually had power over the chief of police.
Correct.
That doesn't occur here in California. The mayor has absolutely zero power. They can't walk into a police station and tell any officer to do anything.
Interesting.
But unfortunately, it appears that in a way that your mayor's got way more power. There should be a separation of powers there.
Right. In New York, in New York,
isn't.
right. In New York, the police commissioner is a civilian. Even if he's a retired police officer, he's actually a civilian who is an administrator of the police department, who serves at the at the beck and call and of the mayor, and the mayor could dismiss him at any time.
Ray,
Serves at the pleasure of.
The pleasure of.
Ray,
That's the term.
you are a police officer and retired, but there's the laws, and some of these laws are foolish. I'm not knocking most of them, but I'm saying sometimes you had to have your own heart or your own consideration that maybe it was a stupid thing. Maybe we shouldn't arrest this guy. Or there was an argument, maybe we could work it out. Did you have to follow the letter of the law, or were you able to use your own
discretion?
your own discretion.
Well, if I have the code section right, in California under our government code section, we've got, I think it's 1089, which gives us leeway under discretionary acts decision making.
Wow.
There are some mandated things where you have to make an arrest, whether it's, for instance, in child abuse cases, domestic violence. There are some things where we just have absolutely no consideration, whatsoever. When it comes to the life issues that New York City is facing, you got to come from the same standpoint. The broken window theory.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will think, well, gosh, things are so bad. Why do you care if somebody's littering? Why are you writing them a ticket? Once you around, whether it's something littering or jumping a turnstile at, in the subway, once you start letting these little things go, that's when it falls. For instance, in San Bernardino County, you will not find like what you find in the subways or Kensington and Kensington Street, which is notorious, I think, in Philadelphia for all their fentanyl and heroin addicts that just kind of stand there statuesque, completely blown out of their mind. Well, we would pick them one by one up off the street, arrest the influence, they do a mandatory 90 days and get out. But if you just sit there and do nothing, of course, it's worse.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a fight on the street. Two guys had a fight. Sometimes there's a fight on the street, or two guys have a car accident and push one another.
That's a citation.
And it's not a citation. It's more. It's assault. And then you have sometimes, like you said, domestic violence. Sometimes, and don't even think for a moment I'm condoning it, but sometimes a husband and wife do have a fight. The wife pushes the husband pushes the wife. It wasn't a real fight. But again, you police officers, can you make a discretionary decision that really nothing happened? It wasn't as bad.
After O.J. Simpson, I'm sorry, to cut you off. After O.J. Simpson, every police department throughout the country, if there's a domestic violence call, is going to be if there's any indicia that somebody got hurt,
but it wasn't really hurt.
It doesn't matter. Even if there's no marks, somebody's going to get arrested.
Is that true, Ray? I mean, that means
somebody's going to get arrested.
Once you arrest them, you destroy the family. I mean, it's over.
They don't have any discretion.
No discretion, Ray? Nothing?
Well, the only discretion we have is between basically, now you pushing somebody where there's no injury.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we wouldn't arrest for a felony.
Right.
In California, it's PC 273.5, which is spousal abuse. There is also Penal Code Section 243E1, which is the misdemeanor section, where we do have discretion based on what we hear and corroborating statements and what have you, to go with this as a misdemeanor. Now, we have discretion because generally, officers cannot arrest for a misdemeanor not committed in their presence. But in domestic violence, it's and it can vary from department, but a lot of times our hands are just tied. Now, what'll happen is, you'll get arrested for the misdemeanor. You'll get taken to the station, fingerprinted, and sight released.
I like what you just said. We're going to do another commercial in a minute. I have Lenny on the phone, a retired police officer as well. I want him on the phone. He's on line 3, so you're going to pick up. A misdemeanor not done in front of you, you cannot arrest?
That's not California. Let me be very clear. In New York.
It's he said, she said.
No, in New York, under the CPL, the police have a right to make an arrest, a misdemeanor or felony arrest, even if it's not made, even if it's not in front of their presence. A violation, which is going to be disorderly conduct or harassment, second degree. Wow. Those are the usual two violations.
So how do you arrest somebody with a misdemeanor in California then? What would happen? How would he just turns himself in?
No, the officers report no matter what, whether it's felony or a misdemeanor. If the male half, if he's the primary aggressor and he's already gone, we're going to take a report. That will get forwarded to the detective and try to locate, get a statement, and then they will submit it to the district attorney's office, for filing consideration. And a lot of times in the pushing ones, even though we have to do our due diligence, a lot of times the DAs reject those.
We're going to do a quick commercial. We're going to get Lenny on the line. But James Meadows, I want you to hear this guy who defends a lot of people again. He fights the
Attorney's
tickets.
Office of James Meadows, highly ranked traffic lawyer, former criminal lawyer, dedicated to all moving violations throughout New York State. James handles all points-related moving violations in New York City, Long Island, and upstate New York. Speeding, red lights, cell phone, stop sign, failure to yield, and improper turn are traffic offenses with stiff penalties, including huge fines, points, increased insurance rates, suspension of your driver's license, and even being arrested. The law office of James Meadows is your best bet, your best chance at beating your traffic ticket. You can reach James Meadows on his personal cell phone at 917. Am I supposed to be giving out his personal cell phone?
Yes.
917-856-1247. That's 917-856-1247. 845-842-5387, or my favorite, 845-TICKETS.
Or my favorite, 845-TICKETS. He's helped me out a lot, and I love you, James. Plus, he's a good man. He texts me from time to time. Heshy, I hope you're behaving yourself. And I always tell him yes.
Absolutely not.
I know. He's a wonderful guy. I do get in a lot of trouble, Ray. You'll find that out when you Google me.
He's a repeat troublemaker.
I know. I try to do the right thing, but it's not emotional with me, even though I do believe
There's
it
a
is.
reason the defensive attorneys love him.
I know that.
He keeps us in business.
I keep him in business. That's right. And it's. But I want to tell you one more thing.
Who do we have on line 3?
Before we're going to pick up line 3, you know why I'm so handsome, right?
Because Linda tells you all the time, and she brainwashed you.
But no, because I have the greatest barber on the planet. And why do I have the greatest?
Baruch's Barbershop.
Oh God, 108 Avenue
Hi,
Y.
you can reach Baruch's Barbershop at 718-758-5187. That's 718-758-5187. Or call, text, or WhatsApp Baruch personally to schedule your appointment at 347-845-9131. That's 347-845-9131. The official singing barber of Heshy Tischler.
He's a great barber. Ray, when you come into town, I'm going to cook you a dinner of chicken cutlets and the best on the planet. And then I'm going to take you over to my barber. He's going to make you look great. He'll hide all that white hair like me. And then
Why aren't you taking him to a nice restaurant?
Oh, I could take him to a nice, but I thought.
Why are you being cheap?
Ray, I'm sorry. I'm going to take you to a nice restaurant. Ray.
And me too.
Not you.
Well,
sir.
hey, does he do hair implants by any chance? I'm just struggling to keep it in.
No, Ray. I'm
No,
sorry.
but we could talk.
We're going to take a phone call right now. We're going to join us with. Go ahead, pick up the phone. Push the button. Line 3.
Look, he has confidence in me.
I do. Please don't mess up. Please don't mess up. Don't tell it. Hello,
Heshy,
Lenny. Is that you?
this is me. I had 3 birthdays already since I've been on the line holding.
I'm so sorry, Lenny. I want you to know.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Lenny is.
Thank you.
Lenny is not. Lenny is a hero of mine, a man who is honorable. He actually cares. He has a heart. And Lenny, on the phone with us, we have Ray from Los Angeles, a retired police officer, homicide police officer. Lenny, what do you think about
I give
that?
a shout out to my West Coast brother, but I've been listening. I applaud everything he's saying, but my call is on the East Coast here, New York City. We need help, and I saw your advertisement tonight. 29 people shot in 3 days. The mayor, who dresses like the new John Gotti of the city with his
With his
suit, the way
shiny,
very
pointy
sharp
shoes.
dresser. But that's not doing anything for the crime here. And you know what? Here's my proposal. You have an activist and an artist. His name is Scott Lebedo. A couple of weeks ago, a month ago, he got arrested outside the Manhattan District Attorney's office for making a statement about what's going on in our city. My question is this. If an artist and an activist could get coverage from the New York Post and some other news outlets, why can't the mayor of the city of New York hold a press conference outside the Manhattan District Attorney's office every morning? You want to point fingers? He brought back the anti-crime. I don't agree that they're in uniform, but it's a start, okay? Call out this DA who refused to issue a search warrant for a guy that had a gun which killed somebody earlier in this week, okay? Let's have everybody accountable for. You know, Trump ran on that that thing years ago about draining the swamp. We got to get these people, political, whatever, that are in power, out of power. We got to get people that are concerned for us citizens. The people who want to stop, question, and frisk, stop. Do not live in my neighborhood. Now, the West Coast, the officer could attest to this. The murders aren't happening in my backyard. They're happening in the neighborhoods of the 6-7, the 7-0, the 7-1, the 4-4 in the Bronx. You know, people of color go to work, okay? They work in banks. They work for Con Edison. It's happening in their neighborhood. Why would they advocate for stop, question, and frisk? Let's get these people off the streets. You see how I'm screaming? I got no voice. I've been screaming all day about this.
Lenny, I'm not sure how it is in
He's
California.
right.
No, he's 100% right. But I think,
1,000,000%
I think
right.
the problem is this. Because we do have two.
No, I wanted
we
Ray.
have two-
I wanted Ray to
we
say
do.
something about
I
this.
will,
Because
but we-
Ray, what do you think about stop and frisk?
Okay.
Not a priority.
Ray, you still there?
Right?
Oh yes, I'm here.
What
yeah,
do you-
no, stop and frisk. If you listen, I was listening to about this very story from. You're probably familiar with Ralph Friedman, retired from NYPD. He showed that wherever this was taking place, the numbers, and that's just it. If when the extreme leftists take over and have coast to coast, you'll saying people get what they tolerate, and the squeaky wheel grease, and just like this gentleman was talking about how he's been yelling all day long. Well, everybody's got to yell at the same time. It just can't be a few voices here and a few voices there, and you can't just think, well, he's got it covered. I don't have to do anything. I can stay home. I don't need to go to that council meeting. I don't need to go to that hearing or any of that. I'm one person. Well, no, you matter.
No. I agree with stop and frisk. But
Hey,
wait a minute,
Chief,
Lenny, I want to
you
ask
know-
you, Lenny, I want to ask you a question with Ray. I agree with your stop and frisk, and I understand you have to frisk us for weapons. But if you find something else, like I'm not going to say it's right, a little heroin, or you find a marijuana, or you find something stupid on us, now you have to, like Ray said, you have no choice. You must arrest us for even something that you didn't even stop us for.
Where does
Well,
it
you
stop,
run that risk,
Reggie?
but the thing is that if it was marijuana or something, I would throw it on the ground and make them step on it and put it out like it was
A cigarette.
and just get rid of it. If my main task was to get guns off the street, I'm not going to waste time on a just some misdemeanor, something that's nothing.
You know what's wrong with
Yeah,
this
you do
country
have to
right
have
now?
that kind of discretion.
Yeah, go ahead,
You
Lenny.
know what's wrong with this country right now?
What?
When we were kids, and you got slapped in the back of your neck by the teacher, if you were in yeshiva, the rabbi, whatever, you didn't go home and tell your mother because your father wanted to know why the teacher slapped you.
Right.
We got away from that. Today, everybody wants to sue everybody. There's no respect, nothing like that. You see these people going around videotaping the police like we're all bad. Well, if all the police are bad, then aren't we wrong by saying all the black people are bad, all the Irish people are bad, all the Italian people are bad?
Wow.
Why are you categorizing just the police when if it's done to any other group? Oh my God! Oh my God! We're not all bad. We're all fighting for one thing:
That's-
safety,
all right. It's-
public safety.
And I have to say this.
Go ahead.
I did ask. I mean, we'd asked Ray, and I think Lenny's highlighting a problem. The problem is today because of a few. I'll be the first to say a few are out in Apples. There really is not that many bad police officers. Your cops could make mistakes. They're humans. But to say you have a malevolent with a malintent police officer, that's the super exception to the rule. And because of a couple of those, to see what's happening to our police force in New York City, Los Angeles, around the country, it's scary. Because you know what? As Lenny just said, it's the people who live in the neighborhoods that need the police the most are the ones who are suffering the most.
Now, boys, I want to tell you this.
They're the ones that have to speak out. Those people are the people that have to speak out. They let it get too far gone, and they have to worry about their 17-year-old kid going to school, not being stopped by the police, but going to school.
I'll tell you something. I'm a 48-year-old man. I would not go on the trains these days. I refuse to use the subways.
Lenny and Ray,
not
here's
safe.
my final question before we come to the end of the show, because I want to ask this. I have a friend of mine, a nice man, a wonderful, smart man, really one of the most brilliant men I've met lately, Christopher Messi. He says that
He says
everybody.
hi. He sends a big hi
okay.
to my friends in the NYPD. I'm sorry, I cannot call in tonight. All my best to my friends in the NYPD.
But I want to ask you this. Christopher Messi says that everybody should be allowed to carry a gun. Crime would be down. Ray, you go first. Give me a quick answer before you go.
The quick answer on that: everybody.
There you go.
But if you are if you're a good citizen, you're a businessman. You got a business in Manhattan. You want to be able to walk with, whether you're a jeweler or you're just got the nice receipts from your business. You want to be able to walk from your business to your car and not get a Magnum round sent crashing through your forehead, and have everything taken from you.
What about
those
a
people
woman?
Should have the ability to apply for a permit to carry a concealed weapon.
What about a mother who's scared to walk at nighttime, or a nurse, or who doesn't want to be raped or killed? She should be allowed also a gun, no?
Oh, sure. And San Bernardino, I've worked. You can get that. You can apply for it from the county sheriff, and the county sheriff actually sponsors classes on the rule of law and application of firearms training on the very sheriff's department range they train on at their sheriff's academy.
Wow,
All right, but then we live
That's in California.
Yeah, then we live in New York
That's
City.
not in New
New
York.
York
Right.
City, where there is no Second Amendment.
Wait. Same question to you, Lenny. What's your answer to that?
Right, there is no Second Amendment
Well,
in New York.
my
New
answer
York
to
City.
that, this is my answer right now. I'm not going to advocate whether you should or shouldn't carry a gun, but I want to know what I said before about Eric Adams having a press conference outside the Manhattan District Attorney's office every day. Let's have accountability of these people that are controlling our laws first. Then we'll worry about who carries a gun or not.
Wow, very good. Lenny?
Right. Well, you got to remember about all these elected, whether it's in California or New York, when these into their positions, it is nothing. It has nothing to do about what's right or wrong, and a lot of times it's not even about money. Times these guys are filthy rich even before they get these positions. What it's really about is it's all about power and egos of those that
And
possess and
lies.
abuse it.
Don't forget the lies. Don't forget the lies.
You need to run for public office.
Oh, yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
passionate about something and you want to make changes, you need to run for public office,
Ray-
like Heshy.
Look, like
And
I
me.
said, you got the guy, Scott Lebedo, held a demonstration outside the Manhattan DA's office. He's an artist. He's an activist. Can you imagine what kind of impact the mayor would have if he would hold that press conference every day or once a week at least?
Well, our mayor's too busy being in other cities. He's traveling.
He's busy
traveling the
whining.
globe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
dining.
Oh, yeah.
He's traveling the
That
country.
was done.
Let
That
me
was
say
done.
Lenny, thank you for joining our show. You were wonderful. Thank you for all your information. I love both of you, and I would like to take both of you out to dinner at the same time and really have a chat with you. But I'm running for election, and I hope me and Sawyer get lucky. Thank you guys. Thank
Where
you
are we
so
going to
much.
be getting signatures? Where
We're
should
going to
people
be on
go?
13th Avenue. Ray can't come, but
Sunday?
Lenny, you better come and sign
Sunday
my petition.
morning? Where
Yeah.
are we going to be?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so
Have a
much
good
for
night,
joining
guys.
our
Stay
show.
well, everyone.
Oh, you're very welcome, and Shabbat Shalom. God bless Israel and the Jewish people.
I
Thank
love
you.
you
Have a
so
great
much.
night.
We're going to end the show, and I have something to rant to all of you as well, and I'd like you to hear this, okay? And it took me a while to write it down. I want you to hear this, and I want you.
Where's
listen
the
to this.
music, Mr. Producer?
Before you do the music, this is my closing show rant. We've all lost good friends and family, and all good people. There are many heroes like Lenny and Ray. Every one of them, my hearts go out to prayers to their families, and any of the cops and all the people that died during COVID. They will be remembered. Most importantly, we will not forget those who served out in the spotlight. outside of the spotlight, to whom we owe our highest gratitude. And, those bullies, those people who created this conspiracy. Yes, I believe this COVID is a conspiracy. This narrative that they came to desecrate our way of life, to stop our beliefs, to trample on our freedom. It is not only did they fail, they granted us the greatest gift, a chance at rebirth. We will rise, renewed, stronger. And the United States of America, God bless you. This is our time, people. Our chance to get back to the best of who we are, to lead by example with dignity and integrity and honor. That's what built this great country. May God bless all of you. And me and Sawyer, I know you guys think I'm a little wild, but I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to be more calmer, which I think that the only way I accomplished it by letting people hear me. And look what Ray did. Look at Lenny. These guys are police officers who are good men, and still they shouted and yelled, and they have their opinions. Okay, they're not as crazy as me. Watch my show again Wednesday night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Ezra, you're wonderful.
Thank you. You too, Heshy.
Sawyer, you're gorgeous. Play our music, producer, man.